Ford CEO Jim Farley claims that Ford is better than electric vehicle startups in these two key areas. Is this actually true? Well, let's have a look. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Electric Viking. Great to have you here on the channel. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Welcome back, everyone else. Thank you for subscribing to the channel and supporting the channel. I really appreciate what you do, and I really appreciate our Patreon supporters on the channel. You make this channel possible, so thank you for your support. Jim Farley, well, he claims that Ford is better than EV startups in a couple of key areas. And the truth is, I hope he's right, because Ford has some significant handicaps, just like General Motors, just like Toyota, just like every single legacy automaker on the face of the planet. Just imagine how many of their engineers are actually qualified to build electric cars. How many of them have experience with electric motors? How many of them have experience with the software needed to build an electric car from the ground up? How many of them have done any of this, really? Would you say any more than 5%? That could be generous. Ford, GM, Toyota, all these other legacy automakers have some very big disadvantages. They have factories set up to build an entirely different product. It is very, very different to build an EV versus an ICE internal combustion engine vehicle. If you don't believe me, well, just check out some of my videos coming from Herbert Diess, who well and truly admits that this is difficult. For example, Volkswagen said they're going to build 700,000 EVs from their enormous factory in Wolfsburg in Germany. Well, guess what? It's only capable of producing 400,000 because they miscalculated. And, you know, there's a lot of people saying, right, well, Legacy Auto know what they're doing. They know how to build cars. They'll just go and do it. And, you know, Legacy Auto, Volkswagen are one of the best, aren't they? And yet they have made some pretty significant miscalculations. What about the fact that Volkswagen has admitted that it takes them 33 hours to build an EV and it takes Tesla 10 hours? Yeah. Is Legacy Auto really all that good at building EVs? I don't think they are. And by the way, Volkswagen is the best at it when it comes to Legacy Auto. They made more EVs than any other Legacy Auto company last year. And yet their CEO, Herbert Diess, says it's been very difficult. Have a look at what's happened with their software. Their vehicles were sitting in parking lots for about 4 months because they couldn't figure out the software, because it's not easy. It's not the same as building a gas-powered vehicle. So as many of you know, I want Ford to succeed. We need Ford to succeed. There needs to be some kind of power balance. We can't have China building 90% of the world's cars and then Tesla building the rest. That's just not going to work long term. While Ford is one of the top automakers on the planet and has been for many years now, a number of new EV startups, such as Rivian, are posing a threat serious enough to the automaker that CEO Jim Farley has publicly recognized those young companies as serious rivals. However, it's worth pointing out Ford chose not to collaborate with Rivian, and instead they chose to build their electric pickups in collaboration with Volkswagen. That was a very intentional choice. However, there are benefits to being a legacy automaker that's been in business for over a century, as Farley recently pointed out during a virtual fireside chat with auto analyst Rod Lache at the Wolfe Research Global Auto Tech and Mobility Conference. That's a long name for a conference. Anyway, we are better at body engineering and paint than any of the startups, Farley said when asked about how Ford can compete with those younger companies. Sorry. They're better at body engineering and paint. Okay, good to hear. And they would love to have Ford's know-how. They would love. Ask Rivian CEO RJ Scaringe. RJ right now, how much he would love to have our body shop and body engineering team. Ford and Rivian specifically have enjoyed an interesting relationship over the last few years, after the former has invested in the latter on multiple occasions. Good decision by Ford, by the way, to invest in Rivian. They've done well out of that investment. Those investments were supposed to eventually spawn a Ford EV riding on Rivian's skateboard platform, but those plans were scrapped late last year as Ford Motor Company gained confidence in its ability to build electric vehicles from the ground up, and I should add, signed an agreement with Volkswagen. Meanwhile, Rivian has struggled to ramp up production at its Normal, Illinois plant amid the chip shortage and other supply chain constraints, and just the general difficulty of ramping up production of EVs, which all manufacturers will face. All of them are facing it now. Though Ford is confident it will be able to seize 10% of the overall EV market by 2030. I'm not, but I really hope they do achieve that goal. Rivian is currently working to erect a massive second production facility outside of Atlanta, Georgia to help reach that goal, but has faced fierce local opposition to the project in recent weeks. Unfortunately, hopefully it goes ahead. We'll have more on Rivian and Ford's relationship soon on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and I'll bring you updates on what's going on between those two automakers. I think Rivian needs Ford and I think Ford need Rivian, but both of those companies don't seem interested in working together. Why is that? Well, I honestly am not so sure that Rivian possesses the ability to produce vehicles at mass level. That's the challenge they're facing. Rivian have just increased prices. Why do they? The prices were already fairly high. They're already a bit higher than the prices we're going to see that we're seeing already for Ford's pickup, for GM's pickup, and for Tesla's pickup. They're already higher. They are on average higher. It's just a fact. But that vehicle is smaller than Tesla, Ford, and GM's pickups. So I think Rivian are currently building things at a more of a boutique level. Boutique is more expensive, much more expensive. And the question is, I think, can that be profitable for Rivian going forward? Can that sustain the company? Can they deliver on the 80,000 reservations they have for the R1T? Well, I think they can, but it's going to take them a long time. And obviously, Ford has examined the business and decided it's not worth working with Rivian for some kind of reason. So we'll have to look at that going forward. Why is that? Why have Ford chosen not to work with them? Why have Ford chosen not to use Rivian's skateboard? I mean, really, the skateboard is the bones of the car. If you've already developed one, and then Ford could actually just use that and piggyback on top of that, would make a lot of sense. So the question is, why did they choose not to do that? Well, I don't really know, but I want to know what you think in the comment section below. I also want to know what you think about the fact that Ford say they're better in two areas, which is body and paint. Are those two things really all that significant in the manufacture of a vehicle, of an EV? I know you've got to have a body and you've got to have a paint shop, but I just don't know if that's a real big advantage. I mean, really, I expected him to point out something else, like mass manufacturing cars, or I don't know. But anyway, don't get me wrong. Jim Farley is one of my big 5 CEOs, and I have a lot of respect for Jim Farley. Over what he's done over the past 12 months, he's definitely leading Ford in the right direction. At least that's what I think. Let me know what you think. Have a great day, and I'll see you again. Bye-bye.